Welcome to Present and Past, where we explore the historical events that have shaped our world. In this video, we'll be delving into the causes, events, and impact of World War I, one of the most significant conflicts in human history. Opening montage of footage from World War I, with dramatic music. Sweeping, showing the scope and scale of the war. World War I, also known as the Great War, was a global conflict that lasted from 1914 to 1918. It involved the major powers of the world at the time and resulted in millions of casualties. In this video, we'll take a closer look at the causes of the war, the major players involved, the key events, and the impact of the war on the world. Cut to title screen. The title screen is stylized with a rough and gritty texture, reminiscent of old war posters. To understand World War I, we must first understand its causes. The war was the culmination of years of tensions and rivalries among the major powers of Europe. These tensions ultimately led to a series of events that sparked the war. Cut to footage of pre-war tensions. The footage is slightly tinted with a yellow hue, giving it a warm and nostalgic feeling. The camera angles are tighter, focusing on the faces of the people involved. Narrator. At the heart of these tensions were nationalism and imperialism. Countries were competing for resources and territory, which led to an arms race and an alliance system that pitted nations against each other. The assassination of Archduke Franz Ferdinand of Austria-Hungary was the spark that set off the powder keg of tensions. Cut to footage of the war beginning. The footage is tinted with a blue hue, giving it a cold and bleak feeling. The camera angles are wider, showing the vast landscapes and battlefields. Narrator. With the declaration of war, the major powers mobilized their armies and put their plans into action. The Schlieffen Plan, a German strategy to quickly defeat France and then turn to fight Russia, was put into motion. Early battles were fought, but the war quickly devolved into a stalemate on the Western Front. Cut to footage of the two sides. The footage is slightly desaturated, giving it a muted and subdued feeling. The camera angles are close, showing the faces of soldiers and civilians. The war pitted the Allied powers, including France, the United Kingdom, Russia, Italy, and the United States, against the Central Powers, including Germany, Austria-Hungary, and the Ottoman Empire. Both sides mobilized their armies and fought in battles across Europe and beyond. Cut to footage of the war widening. The footage is tinted with a green hue, giving it a sickly and toxic feeling. The camera angles are varied, showing the different environments of the war. Narrator. The war was fought in the trenches, with new weapons such as machine guns and poison gas. The war was also fought at sea, with submarines and naval battles, and in the skies, with the first use of airplanes in warfare. Cut to footage of the toll of the war. The footage is desaturated with a red hue, giving it a bloody and violent feeling. The camera angles are close and personal, showing the faces of soldiers and civilians affected by the war. Narrator. The war resulted in millions of casualties, both military and civilian. It had a devastating impact on economies and infrastructure, and the psychological trauma of the war would continue to affect soldiers and civilians alike for years to come. Cut to footage of America entering the war. The footage is tinted with a blue and red hue, giving it a patriotic and hopeful feeling. The camera angles are